Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Seeing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, king of the game. I believe in you, that's what he'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Seeing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, king of the game. I believe in you, that's what he'll say. Nice and kind, leading cobalt ice. He's a blue, cute, and deadly little guy. Seeing through the fog, old gods he's slayed. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7, 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 Go7. Go7.
Hello? Penguin, there we go. First, Fluff. You're early this time, congratulations. Okay, so I was rudely cut off by my internet last time, so I'll have to go back to that replay. Chariot Rider. For aggro. Caustic finale. I think I'll definitely gonna have to bring Voice of Akasha's game up, I guess, in order to have it covered today. It's definitely still a ways down there in the queue. What in the apples is this matchup? This is Caustic Finale. It's got it's been around for a long time, so they've got special tiering on it. Sammy's been brought up to tier 1. Specifically for this map. And Von been... I believe Von been banned. Essentially tier 0 for this map. They do that just for balancing purposes. So normally in the tiers, they've got like set tiers per mode, and every map starts out following that tier system, and then over time it gets refined. Explain why VB is tier 1. VB is not tier 1. Von Bolt is tier 0 on this map. Banned. Tier 0? That just comes down to dominance of play. The reason why Von Bolt is so strong on this map is because having a really good day-to-day for both your foot soldiers and your vehicles means that you are heavily advantaged in all of the very early game brawls that happen here, and that's kind of the name of this map, is lots and lots of fighting constantly. So having +10/+10 stats, very strong. He's also really hard to kick off of these very important cities. And that's the reason why Sammy's tier 1 instead of tier 2, is because there's lots of infantry fighting over properties. And that makes Sammy very good. You just want to hear my take? Well, okay. There you go. Von Bolt's, his day-to-day is just too strong. It makes it so if he's tier 1, you just see nothing but Von Bolt mirrors for every tier 1 game. And you don't want to have that. You want to have some variety in the tiers. That's why the tiers exist. How am I doing today? I'm tired today. It was definitely a busy day, but otherwise I'm pretty good. Bolt mirror is a pain. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. I'm personally not a fan of any mirror. You see lots of Sasha mirrors here, or Adder Dittos. That can happen too. I'm surprised you see so many Sasha mirrors. In general, I'm very much against mirrors. The Drake mirror is okay. The Lash mirror is kind of fun. Like Javier here. He's pretty decent. There's some strong artillery play after all. And the comm towers are contestable, but also safe at the same time. Just become delayed bumble. That's true. Alright, we'll start hopping into this one. I'll go through it pretty quickly because we already saw some of it. Why is it facing left? Since when do these guys face the same direction? But yeah, Chariot Rider goes for a base skip here, which I would not recommend. Completed capturing the city before going on to the neutral base. That's going to cost some infantry count because that's a turn that you're spending. That's a turn that you are not building an infantry, which also delays all of the captures that come out of this base. So in the long term, you'll probably go net. You'll definitely go net negative in unit count, but also probably net negative in income because now all of these captures and/or contested captures are delayed by a whole turn. So it's pretty expensive. But Chariot Rider ends up deciding to go down to this area to fight early on with this fast tank buy, and then using the Sammy extra cap power to get this contested property. Aggroman could have interrupted this by having the tank from the base smack and then have the infantry follow up to take it out. It would have given Sammy a first strike from the city, but that would be probably worth it for Aggroman, but that is not what happened. And Chariot Rider does get to go down here for a sneaky smack on this infantry, knock it down to 5. It will heal up to 7, so it takes 3 turns to capture this comm tower. So that will give Sammy a comm tower advantage for a little while. And Aggroman, being very aggro over here, goes in for a smack on this Sammy infantry. Decides to complete the capture, and then for some reason Chariot Rider joins here, which I would not recommend. Kind of is just, it's not quite, but it's basically killing your own infantry for your opponent. I would much rather if that guy just walked over here and tried to take out the 7 health infantry. It does Sammy infantry, so it has plus 30% attack and then plus another 10% from the comm tower. So pretty decent chance I could get this kill. Then we have the recon follow-up. So that on this side, usually you have an artillery. Neither player did this, but usually you have an artillery with an infantry push to dominate this area and then slowly start putting pressure on this space. So we have a delayed recon instead, which will be good if there's just like an infantry brawl over here. It doesn't actually cover this guy, as you can see. The recon can only reach to here, but it does deter strike happening from those planes. As Sammy, I would not have gone for this attack because I would expect my opponent to just like step onto this river and kill my infantry. And it's not like injuring this guy does anything for this capture. Even if this infantry is at full health, it can't interrupt. So I don't like letting Sammy infantry just kind of die nonchalantly. And then here for Hawke, definitely should have finished off this infantry and also shouldn't have attacked from this plains, because that's actually something this recon can interact with. So it's happy days for Sammy there. And there you go. See, we got some pretty beefy Sammy infantry getting those kills on 7 health infantry. Those are on plains instead of forest, so it's a little more reliable. Still, take that out. Decided to go for an interrupt over here. It's a little bit spicy. You have a mech covering a tank, and the tank's somewhat. I mean, this mech's pretty well covered. Chariot Rider does have 2 infantry going towards this comm tower, and that's definitely a threat that Hawke has to respect. You don't really want to get in an even infantry count combat against Sammy, especially over a property that you care about a lot, like a comm tower. We'll see how it goes. Right now, Hawke is ahead in property count, which you would definitely not expect normally in this matchup. But it does kind of come down to whether or not you can hold that number of properties. Here, Sammy's taking one away, putting a lot of pressure on this comm tower. Taking this one away, and this is going to be a guaranteed capture. I don't like how this recon is in tank range with no coverage, so it's just kind of went for a strike here and just gets bopped. Not a huge fan of that. Okay, and this is where that artillery gets really nice in this corner, as you can see. Not advanced wars related, but you need teacher Go7's advice. How do you help students who get testing anxiety? It depends on why the student's getting testing anxiety. Usually you do different accommodations. So you can have them like testing at another time or in another place, or they get more time. Or you can have like an assistant to help with the test, depending on what kind of test you're dealing with and how serious it has to be for like them being alone. You do group tests for your students. That can help sometimes. I don't know if you're another teacher. I mean, I don't think any of these would be news to a teacher. It would depend on why they're getting anxiety. Help with that. Sometimes just talking about it. That could be like school counseling. Sometimes there's worries about like not knowing what's on the test, so you can not directly give the questions. I mean, sometimes you can do that. You can just make it a take-home test, and that can help. Just be like, yeah, it's open books, it's open book, it's open note. You have an entire day at home to do it. But you can also be very thorough in covering the content that's actually going to be covered on the test, so that the student isn't thinking that they're going to be caught unprepared. Kind of like in class, sometimes students have a lot of anxiety about being called upon. So you can, as a teacher, you can set up a hidden coded action that you do that's signaling that you are going to call on that student in like the next, like in like 5 minutes or something like that, so that the student's prepared and they're not caught like unaware in the spotlight. Like if I take a sip of my coffee, if I go walk over to my desk and take a sip of my coffee, that's signaling that I'm going to call on you soon. And you'd have that set up with the student beforehand. And you wouldn't just declare that that's what's going to happen. You'd come to some mutual agreement as to what your coded action would be. Would I give an advanced words by web test to my students? Identify the misplay? I can do that. I mean, sometimes I somewhat do that in these for my own games, where I've done it a couple times, I guess, where I would like, okay, I'm about to make a misplay, or like I just made a misplay. What was it? And what's the better play? think that's kind of fun. There goes that recon. Rest in peace. Okay, yeah. Hawke is doing a lot of aggression in this area. This medium tank is going to be pretty tough for Sammy to deal with until there's like some strong indirect presence. When you were at school, your psych professor got annoyed because you were the only people that would answer questions during class a lot of the time. That can happen. That can happen. A lot of that comes down to, it's not necessarily that class's fault. There's just like a lot of pressure put on students. Oftentimes, a lot of pressure put on students to get stuff right. And that makes like a crippling fear of being wrong stop them from participating in class. But that usually goes away with age and or just like general confidence. Like I used to be pretty scared about participating in class when I was like first going to college / high school. But then when I went back to it, I had no problem participating. I was also a lot older. Not a lot older, but I was older. Okay, rest in peace, infantry. And this is kind of, it's like kind of somewhat forced. You don't have to throw away the infantry to interrupt the capture, but this does delay it by 2 turns. So that is a 4K. Just because it's a Sammy infantry strike. So it is netting 4K by delaying this 2 turns. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good use of an infantry. And this over here is really annoying for Hawke because the only thing that can hit this infantry currently is this tank, and it really doesn't want to sit here and hit an infantry. It'll just die for it. I wouldn't, over here against Hawke, I would be very hesitant about continuing this fight because Hawke's going to have like piece Sammy infantry. That medium tank. Smacketh. What does Hawke do about... That's not a great answer to what's going on over here with this comm tower. Okay. Well, this tank doesn't... Oh, no, never mind. Okay, the medium tank does actually reach to this tile, so... This probably delays the comm tower capture by turn. Well, now the medium tank can come kill this tank, but as soon as Sammy uses the victory march, this comm tower is going to be flipped. So that's a pretty cheeky artillery placement to try and save that city in the long term. Not a huge fan of continuing this fight over here for Sammy. It's going to be really painful, especially because Hawke's going to just pop the super soon. So the vehicle fights are definitely going to go in Hawke's favor. So getting kind of low on the Sammy infantry. We're down to 14 against 19. 13 against 19. Even less, 12. So that gets pretty painful. 10 or 11. But there wasn't a Hawke super. So this is going to be like the turn for Sammy to do stuff. We might see Sammy just drill a hole. Like have this infantry kill this one, have this one take out this one so that this guy can then go take this city. And the mech would take this city. Or you could have the mech go take this city. This guy come back and take this city. I think you definitely use the Sammy super here. You won't take the HQ, but you get the comm tower. You get to like flip 4 or 5, maybe even 6 cities. That's pretty good. Victory march. when? I don't think we have a great way of... Yeah. There isn't a great way of killing this infantry off to let this guy get on the city, from what I can see. That city. I think we're gonna let this city go. Grab another city. Take out another infantry. Happy days, Sammy getting those one shots. And then this is also one of the things that you can do as Sammy, of course, is you take the cities and then try and kill off as many of the opponent's infantry as possible so they can't take their cities back. And if you can survive like 6 turns up 12k income, then you're going to be pretty happy. 6 cities in a comm tower, that's a good Sammy super. Medium tank is still in Sammy medium tank. None of these cities start getting capped for Hawke. That one does. That one is definitely going to be taken back. Still okay. If that could have been instead used, it probably would have been better if Sammy had just cleared this city and taken it rather than go for this one, just because the city's a lot easier to hold. I'm always disgusted by how strong Sammy's foot soldiers are. During Victory March, they're very, very strong. That city. That infantry. Got an attack there. Swings at the medium tank. I guess it did 2 damage. You have like the tank try and follow up. Tank ran away. It's okay. Mech's probably not long for this world, but it got a city. It did 2 damage to a medium tank. That's still pretty good. So Hawke does manage to take 1 city back. Starts walking towards this comm tower. There isn't really any Sammy presence currently to contest this. But, you know, Sammy only lost 1 of those cities. I mean, being 10k up, that is definitely going... Oh, and still gets to take 1. 10k up feels good. You have a Neo tank. Let's come down and cover all the way to this artillery. Oh, with a Neo tank, Sammy can definitely threaten to just take a base or the HQ with the next super. And Aggroman resigns. Yeah. Sammy Victory March was too good. Part of that is the Aggroman stopped being quite so aggro, and you really have to be aggro in response to the Victory March so that you can take all those cities back as fast as possible. But GG. Let's go Victory March. InuTheTengu versus Toadtin. Wow, these 2 colors are like so similar. I don't think I've ever noticed that the blue moon and the teal galaxy, especially if I mouse over it. Same. It's you. This is Mega Man. InuTheTengu is Mega Man 0, someone that we were encouraging to play Global League. And they did so. Here we go. Olaf against Max on Marengo. This is their first ever Global League game. You have a feeling you're going to lose one, if not all, your games in Global League? Yes, you'll have a replay to a submit at least. It's not. There's no shame in losing. There's no shame in losing. You have 2 favors to ask. One, you're a very visual person, so if mistakes are good plays, be sure to point it out with my mouse, okay? I'll try. You're horrible at established fronts, so excuse the dabbling around. Well, this is your very first game, so you get to have a whole bunch of leeway. You're playing on Marengo, which is one of the classic fog maps. It has a fairly established meta, but that's not something that I expect either of these players to really be aware of. There's basically an APC opener that I consider basically unpunishable, and a lot of acceleration of the captures. There's some important things to keep in mind about this map in particular, is that this solo base here that you end up unlocking takes a long time to come online in comparison to the double base. So that's very different from most fog maps. Usually you have it set up so the solo base and one of the double bases is pre-owned, and then your first task is to like capture the other double base. But because this one is the solo base and it's unowned and it takes a while to get to, it means one of these fronts is way more developed than the other. This double base front, which moves against the opponent's solo base front, gets so many more units, so it has way more influence. That's part of why there's more cities closer to the solo base. But it's just something to keep in mind. These double bases will bully the solo base a lot. So the solo base can't just sit there and build as many infantry as it wants. It has to go into vehicles a lot sooner than you normally expect. Alright, notes open, focused on me, so teach me. I will try. So yeah, you can see both players going for the neutral base. It takes 1, 2, 3, 4 turns to get it online. InuTheTengu is going to go for this forward capture first, which makes sense. Same over here, just going for the closest captures as soon as possible. That's basically what you do when you are just, well, it's like the safe standard way of opening every map. It gives you as much money early on as possible. So Toadtin then going for the next closest base or city. It's just kind of what you do. You'd expect Toadtin to then have this infantry step onto this mountain, so you can then go for this city. It's very important to step onto the mountain. A lot of people, their first time playing this map, try and walk around the mountain because it's like, oh, I'm moving 3 tiles instead of 2 tiles. But when you do that, you actually lose the ability to reach this city in 2 turns. So always step onto the mountain so you can reach this city. I'm not quite sure why InuTheTengu did 1 tile up off of this base. I can only assume the idea is an APC. APC's back here. Okay, so I think the idea here is tile up, and then the infantry's in range of hopping into the APC next turn, and then the APC would deliver it, I guess, to here and drop off. You could just walk that distance in 1 turn. So I wouldn't do this with the APC specifically because the APC is being built in the back, and you are trying to deliver like from a forward base. If you flip these productions, it can make more sense. So if like the APC was in the built in the front and you have the back infantry move forward and then hop into the APC, that makes a lot more sense. Otherwise, you just wouldn't send someone back to hop into this guy. You would just like keep going about your business and have the APC position itself for the next infantry that pops out. Yeah, there's a recon from Max. Takes the recon a really long time to get across this map. Ooh, we're on the mountain. We got little boosties. But again, yeah, this guy went to here to then boost onto this mountain. Could have just like walked here. And 1, 2, 3 would be over here just by walking. Got the backwards recon. So also here, you would, I'm fine with you like boosting. You would just unload this infantry as you hopped into it. Because I'm assuming you know that in Advanced Wars by Web, unloading is just a free action. You can unload before, you can unload after moving. It doesn't matter. You just can't unload during it. So you can walk into it and then also come out, and then you just have an infantry here, and then this guy would hop in for the next turn. And the boosting does matter here. So if you boost the infantry to here, much like being on this mountain, you can then go 1, 2, 3 and be here, which is next turn in range of this city. So that one tile you get boosted makes you reach the city a turn sooner, which is nice. But in general, you don't want to have an infantry just kind of sitting in the APC, especially if there's a further back infantry that can hop in on the next turn. So for Max here, I'm okay with going for an early recon from the double base. If you do that, usually you go like along this top route here. You sit right here with the recon behind this mountain, so that it's really difficult for a tank, like an early tank from the lone base, to hit you. And you get really nice vision over all of the cities over here. And what you're trying to catch is the infantry that walks over these mountains into this river or along this little route to get to this corner city. And you just like zoom over and you bop it with your recon and shut down their only way of getting to the city. I would not build a recon from the lone base, though, because the lone base is forced into this very defensive position. Boost. Hey, we get the boost. But yeah, since the lone base is in a very defensive position, you're not going to want a recon right away. You're going to want like a tank. Something that can retaliate against recon strikes or tank strikes on more capturing infantry. You probably wouldn't want it quite yet. You do want to have at least, I'd say, like 2 infantry. You can see Max didn't do over the mountain into this city. This is a nice route for the infantry, by the way. You go to here, finish the city cap, step onto the mountain, you go for this capture, and that lets you go to this capture, lets you go to this capture, let's go to that capture. Like, look at that. It's a long little chain. You never get these two, but it's still pretty good going down like this. You wouldn't want to capture a lab right away in Global League because there's no units to unlock with labs, and labs don't give you any income. The one thing this gives you is vision of that specific lab tile. And of course, it shows dominance because you spent time capturing a lab when you have no need to. This recon, if you can see, it's like it's jumping from forest to forest. In general, that's kind of a good plan to try and keep them safe. But in the early game, the recon doesn't have anything to fear, so it should just be really aggressive. Okay. So here you can see that InuTheTengu steps onto the mountain. I assume this is for vision. When you step on the mountain, you get to see stuff. That's kind of nice. What's more nice is being able to capture properties. So usually you would want to step to here or over here to either go for the comm tower or go for this city. If you go onto the mountain, you're still the same number of turns away from any of these properties as you were from this city. And this is like really early in the game, so grabbing vision doesn't get you much. Although it might end up seeing this recon, but oftentimes you'll be like, I see nothing. Because there hasn't been enough time for the opponent to ever get into this kind of range. Steppity step. This is a better case. You get vision, and the vision, of course, doesn't really matter at this stage, but you're still in range of going for these captures. That's what really matters. Okay, I like the tank timing. It's kind of... It's like, it's now or next turn is when you'd start building a tank from the one base. Got the battle copter from Max. That's okay. Fast battle copters are... They're okay on this map. In general, they're very risky to do in fog because most players go for a prophylactic anti-air. So they just kind of build an anti-air turn 7, turn 8, turn 9. Which makes these early battlecopter plays kind of sad. They'll run forward, like try and interrupt a capture, and then the anti-air just comes up and kills them. The bottom left Pangy mistake. Did I miss it? Capture, capture, capture. Lock up. Capture. It seems fine to me. Guess you could walk this way. It's fine. What's the mistake? Sitting near the two mountains. Toad got it very early, this one. It doesn't really matter if you get this late. Well, yeah. Well, you gotta... As long as your infantry are walking towards captures, it doesn't matter the order that you're getting your cities. This is a city that you want to delay a long time. You don't want to delay it to the point where you're not like... You're like having infantry not going for captures. And so, but this is like as safe of a capture you could possibly have. There's no way that your opponent can interrupt you here or fight you for it at all. So as long as your infantry are going towards other captures, you can delay this one. Like I wouldn't want to rush that. It's also like a dead end capture. Once you get this capture, this infantry doesn't have anything else to do. So you'd want to prioritize ones that lead into more captures. Very, very sad news for this infantry. The recon got in, but we do have an InuTheTengu tank ready to go for a smack. So, pretty decent. And there's plenty of follow-up infantry to go for the captures. But yeah, this is more what you would want to do with this recon, is you'd be hanging out right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'd spot this guy. You'd zoom over and tap him, or you just like back off and wait for him to walk, try to walk for this city. Okay. I'd say this is a bit of an overreaction. You already have an infantry in range to go for this comm tower capture, so I would just go for this city capture at this stage. You got like an anti-air here to cover it. You got this tank here. Don't need to be too coy. Smack. This is a city that often is just like incredibly heavily contested and no one gets it. This is barely out of the vision range of Toadtin. So InuTheTengu might get this one. Usually the one base ends up getting it, but both players can fight about it. I'm pretty happy with artillery on this map. Found a nice exploit that'll let you have Eagle super every turn in live queue, but it also ruins everybody else's game, so you can't really exploit it. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Bad Stealer. Bad. It's good you found an exploit so it can get fixed. It's bad that you're thinking about doing it. Okay, so this sea cap does go through. Toadtin just didn't quite have the vision needed to interrupt it. I'm fine with continuing the capture. Got a bunch of vehicles over here after all. Here comes the tanks. Smack at the recon. Finish it off with an infantry. Very nice. See what this anti-air does. If the anti-air ends up going up here, then Max will be really sad. It's a decent choice to go up here because you usually want your anti-air covering your vehicles. But I can understand keeping it over here to try and like interrupt an infantry or something. Looks like it just chills it first. So Max has the gall to go in here with the tank or with the copter on the front lines. It's going to be fine. Not amazing, but fine. This, however, is a very unhappy copter. It's important to note that flying units do not hide in trees. So if you put a copter on a forest, it's still visible to everyone. Oh, thank you for the €2. Jotaro. Oh, cool. You found the fix for spectating Sonya games. Okay. That's a good fix to find. So usually, if you have... Well, I guess there's some tanks down here. But usually, if you have a front that's mostly infantry, you just kind of preserve them for as long as you can. Go for the captures that are fairly safe, like this one. And you just, like, wait until you have some vehicles available to help them. Copters don't hide in the woods. It's really a poor choice to put your air units in woods because they're both they're visible and you're eliminating the possibility that you have a unit in the woods. That explains one of your games. Yep. Pop. Smack. I wouldn't join I wouldn't join there. This guy's just gonna sit here and heal up anyway. So here, it's okay to just kind of run away. I'd be also fine with moving onto the river, attacking, and then having this guy finish off the infantry on the mountain. It's kind of incentivized to kill those because of the vision. Here, I would definitely kill this recon off. I'm okay with going for... You can't do it with infantry, sadly. It's a little too tough. Okay, I mean, I'm fine with that too. You can let the recon live at 2. Kill off the tank. I'm not a huge fan of the tanks getting closer to your opponent and farther away from your reinforcements. Like right now, the copter doesn't actually cover them. Well, I might cover them if this copter just stays here. Attack from the forest again. Copters, air units also get no bonus from defense stars. Something to keep in mind. recon survives. Low health recons. Perfectly fine. They still provide as much vision as before. So I do really like that Max is bringing some vehicles to support this heavy infantry push. That is a good combination. Might be a little bit too overextended over here, trying to deny this comm towers for as long as possible. It's like give and take there. Being overextended against Olaf hurts a lot. You get hit with the mass damage, and then you also are kind of stranded in your opponent's area. They can spend multiple turns setting up a group just to wipe you out. Yeah, I don't like joining these low health units, especially in fog, where you can use them to check forests or just sit in forests or go on mountains, just do general scouting. I do like artillery sitting. I'm fine with bringing some more infantry over here. It's the one base that needs the help. Not quite sure what's going on over here. This guy's still in vision of the mountain. So this isn't a great tile to stand on. It is out of range of this guy attacking. I'd prefer to either be over here or on this missile platform when approaching the city. Or just don't approach that city because the opponent's got better control. Not a huge fan of the infantry fighting here because they don't have the vehicle support right now. And this is the one base side. You are resupplying with like infantry from down here, so it's not the end of the world. But it can still like become bad news bears pretty quick. Whoa. Oh, the copper. Yeah, of course, copper's still hide in the woods. Okay, so Toadtin hasn't used any powers. This is going to be a game where Olaf uses the super first. And InuTheTengu is also up 4k, so that's a nice combination. You do kind of expect Max to be winning in the early game due to having an actual day-to-day. As Olaf, against pretty much anyone, if you have the super, you just press the super. There's no need to hold it. It helps with your fighting. It also just hurts every single unit. It interrupt caps. There's no reason to do that at the end of the turn. Because Olaf is immune to snow. Olaf does not get slowed down by snow. That's his day-to-day. So, you might as well make it snow. And damage all the opponent units. You were very happy. Yeah. Usually, you'd expect Max to get a power first. Everyone say hi to Go, the mech near the APC. There you go. You'd rather have a 4-city lead than the comm tower. Yeah, Lou, I think that's pretty true. Whoa. Okay. It's snowing. I just pressed the wrong button. Okay. In comes Max, taking out this anti-air. Rest in peace. And this is where global damage gets really, really annoying. So you see all of the infantry are injured. So not only are the vehicles worse at fighting, every single infantry on the map suddenly became worse at capturing. So InuTheTengu gets his property lead over here. Is also going to get this corner city. A few attacks in here. Clear off the infantry that was capturing the comm tower for some reason. Nice artillery strike. Picking off a bunch of units. That's definitely a really big deep dive. I'm not a huge fan of that. This is the kind of thing where you would expect this tank to die. It's diving into your opponent line of units far away from your support and doing it to kill a 2 health infantry. As long as you're aware that this guy's probably going to die, it's fine to send it in there. Probably wouldn't do it to try and take out the 2 health infantry. Yeah, that tank was felt like it was heroic. Surprised we're not seeing a max power used here. Like it would have gotten this tank kill. Oof. The max blast after moving 4 vehicles is rough. Need to take out that tank. I'm not a huge fan of the tank being used to kill a 4 health infantry during a max blast. I mean, I guess going for this recon is really risky. That's definitely a little bit of a sketchy max blast. It can take some practice to get used to, though. It's not quite like the Olaf super where you just kind of press the funny button and everything works out for you. Bunch of like decisions, positioning that you have to do with the max powers, the extra movement. You get a nice artillery strike here, going for the comm tower with a nice full health infantry. Looks good to me. You think chilling on the HQ. As Olaf, you don't have to be too worried about a capture coming in. The global damage does work. This artillery is very gutsy. It's out here all alone. Okay, that tank gets cleared out. Looks like your opponent isn't watching the replay. So this artillery is going to be fine. It gets spotted, but after everything else is moved. Put a lot of effort into denying this comm tower. It's a very expensive endeavor. Lots of units have to be put forward past this like midline and get worn down. It also means that Toadtin hasn't been able to exert as much control elsewhere on the map, and that lets InuTheTengu get this really nice 5k income lead. Not quite sure why the copter went for the infantry attack. Okay. Definitely agree with shooting the tank there. Here I'd have the recon interrupt this capture and then the medium tank hit the tank. I mean, the medium tank can also hit the infantry if you'd like. I would just much prefer to have the expensive unit killing off the more expensive units and just have the cheap guys deal with the opposing cheap guys. Back to moving forward. I am very happy with there being anti-airs per front, especially as Olaf, where you can slow down the opponent's copters. Probably not worth it to send a copter after a lone medium tank, or against the medium tank all alone. But at the same time, it's like, what else is this copter really going to do? I'm going after the artillery would be what I'd probably go for, since that's closer to the rest of your units. And this artillery has been a bit of a thorn in the side. Really wish this tank had attacked from the other side so this full health tank could get a strike in. That's just something that comes with practices, making sure you don't block your own units. This game's probably going to end with the next Olaf super. This artillery really should not have been the one to shoot here. It's like, there's a tank here to fire at. Got infantry and recons to interrupt this. I could be walking. Finish that off. Again, I prefer if the medium tank was going after the tanks. Going down for this heal. Nice though. Tank. The copter should really hit the opposing copter. Swinger Fury should also have been used earlier. That's okay. Game is looking very GG. Rest in peace, artillery. You did a good job. Oh, this tank's about to get annihilated by artillery in the mech. So it's really difficult to come back in a game against Olaf. Just because of how brutal the super is. At this stage, I think it's almost impossible for Max to win. Because Olaf's got more income. So even if Max starts winning more and more of these fights, Olaf gets the comm tower here. It'll just give Olaf more and more charge to then retaliate with the super. You have to like really win the fights to make up for all the damage the super does to you. I'm a fan of the Neo tank. It's good. And Toadtin resigns. That's a fair resign. GG. As far as like a first game, I think that was really good. Oh, just dead set on denying the comm tower. Yeah. No base skips, no nothing. It was you thinking you hear the ice walls, you're gonna stall. Yeah, max. When to use the max normal power and super, that's something that kind of comes with practice. As someone that's like newish to Global League, I'd be more willing to just kind of spam it. Just get the advantage from it that you can. As the MVP on that Sidious. Thank you. Okay, I'll cover the Voice of Akasha game here, because I did say I was going to do it on Friday. It is skipping the queue a bit. But people have been wanting it. And the MVP. So I don't know anything about this game other than it's Rip versus Inkagar, or yeah, no, it's Rip versus Voice of Akasha in a max mirror, and there was a Rip versus Inkagar max mirror on the same map. Take note on the tank order. That was the city that would have gotten you the cap win. Ah, nice. We'll make Rip twice. Caution. Comment. Oh. I'm glad, Mega Man. And enjoy your Global League games. They're good. Which CO would I pick? Maybe Eagle? You could probably try something with Sammy, but Sammy's gonna have a hard time in this area of the map. That's rough. I imagine Eagle's pretty decent. Does Rip being Cobalt Ice make Rip the hero of this game? Yeah. You could maybe do Kindle. Kindle would be spicy. But that's I mean, that's a lot of cities. You could also do Olaf. Olaf would be really strong in these regions. I might try Kindle. That's a lot of cities. Everyone kept picking Max. I mean, I feel like the artillery presence here is so strong. And Max just misses out on that. Starting with an airport is leading me to think that Eagle's probably pretty decent. And the capture phase lasts for a long time. And there's a lot of trying to kill the lone base here. And Kindle would be really good at that. At both like interacting with the long time, the long capture phase and killing the lone base. So I could see Kindle working. I bet Starflash would have chosen Kindle. But here we have two Maxes. Ooh. Voice of Akasha is going for a different opening than Rip. This is not the same kind of game as Rip and Inkagark, where they just kind of did the same opening. We do have a difference here. Voice of Akasha going with the like standard opening of going for the closest city captures first, rather than going for a city skip. Now, this does mean that the Voice of Akasha is potentially behind unless the earlier income matters. Because having map presence is really, really strong in standard, where interrupting cities is very easy. So if you own more contested cities, you tend to just keep them. Where in Fog, you like go for your contested city, and then because you have to like delay your early income in order to get it, your opponent has an army and just comes and take it from you. So we'll see if Voice of Akasha gets something out of this earlier money, or it's just going to be like a little bit behind in forward captures. Let's see. This does let Voice of Akasha prioritize going for these cities, which is nice, especially because Rip is max and can't really lock these down with a single artillery. It's possible that Meng's covered. I'm sure many people have covered this replay. I don't watch Meng's content, so. Rip is going for, of course, going for these two cities as well. Looks like Voice of Akasha is investing extra infantry over here in order to try and deny them. I would expect these two cities to kind of go to this one base, because vehicles can actually like interact over here, where Max can only really send like infantry and mechs over this. Kind of understand why double max. You always felt like indirects and standard require a lot of babysitting. Kind of do. So Voice of Akasha is going to... Wow. I feel like Voice of Akasha should not have chosen max if this is what Voice of Akasha wants to do on the map. Like this city you can definitely control with the max vehicles. But these two, not so much. Okay, and we're seeing the difference already in the opening here, in that Rip owns this city Voice of Akasha does not own this one and may not end up owning it. We'll see. Kind of depends on how Rip tries to contest it. Currently, there's absolutely no trying to contest it, so I take that back. What Rip could have done is gone for a capture here and then covered it with a tank. And also brought in like another tank. So we're going to send this guy into the middle. I'm going to build the tank over here to cover the comm tower capture. Okay. Look at that. They're just being friends and they're just going to split these cities 50-50. Okay. So Voice of Akasha is going to get this city, no problem. Rip didn't try and pull any shenanigans. And it looks like we're probably going to see both players just get both of their comm towers. If Rip wants to, Rip can interrupt this. I think Rip probably does want to do this. And go for the capture here. Oh, Rip doesn't. Okay. I think I would have done it because this tank isn't in range. The infantry's not in range yet, and you have the backup infantry coming to go for either this capture or just like finish off the interrupt here on the comm tower. And that's something that's going to be potentially rather impactful. You can delay it for quite a few turns. But that's not what Rip wanted to do. Goes for this capture. Is potentially interruptible, but I don't think Voice of Akasha would go for that interrupt. One of those signature Voice of Akasha things is really prioritizing the value of tank HP. So I would never expect Voice of Akasha to just kind of give up a free tank hit in order to interrupt captures. I don't think even, I mean, it's, I don't know. The way I'm looking at it is you would have the tank give up a free tank hit, but then you have like a huge wave of infantry to deny the city for basically ever. I think this definitely should have been interrupted by Rip. Okay. Voice of Akasha goes for the strike from the mountain. For this. Ooh. That's a nice double kill. The only thing I would change about this move that Voice of Akasha went for is, well, so if Voice of Akasha goes for the strike from this side first and then this side, and at the same time interrupts the comm tower from Rip, then this 10 health infantry won't die from this tank. But if Voice of Akasha just completes this capture rather than interrupting the comm tower, then it's better to have the 7 health infantry out here, because either way it would die to the tank, I'm pretty sure. I think a tank at plus 40% firepower can just one-shot an infantry on a road. So this signals to me, I mean, it doesn't really matter because we'll see it by the end of the turn, but this signals to me that Voice of Akasha is not going to interrupt this comm tower. And yeah, we don't have the smack. Another thing that would be nice about having the tank interrupt this capture is that it stops this tank from going up here. Ooh, and then Voice of Akasha goes for a base skip for triple tank. That's probably okay. This is again another situation where I think that this comm tower should have been interrupted. So Rip's gonna go for the clear. That's what? Why? No. So it's fine for Rip to go for the clear here, but why is the infantry attacking from this forest? You would attack from the plains and the shoal because you're just letting this tank come over and kill your infantry. Then this infantry hits your infantry from the comm tower and you're just like super sad. So Rip does a little dive in here. Kill tank on the HQ. This is a nice attack. Bring all the tanks into the center. Take out this infantry. What Rip's doing here is overloading this tank. But only kind of, because this tank can still hit from this side, so not really overloading. We do have the tank chain, though. Rip decides to complete this capture. What Rip was thinking about is Akasha really sad about this tank on the city. It's out of the chain range from the bases. Only one of these tanks can hit over here, and it doesn't really want to. This does kind of make me question Rip going for this attack on the infantry because it unlocks this tank attack. It is chained. It's probably fine. Oh, I didn't even notice that. What? Oh, never mind. Voice of Akasha can just attack from a city over here. That's pretty good. It's not the best. We do have another full health tank to attack. Wow, Voice of Akasha just goes for a tank by here. I mean, there's a lot of pressure being put on Voice of Akasha in this region, so I would have thought a medium tank might have been in the books, but we just go for the regular tank. And then 2 more to come and like support this front. Okay. This guy is super dead. Interesting. I would have thought... Huh. So Rip's not going to go for the capture on the city. Which I thought was going to be the move. Be like, this infantry goes here, this infantry goes here. Let's just block off over here. And we're going to go do one of those moves that we saw in the Rip versus Inkagart game. You just block the base in. Maybe that's why a medium tank wasn't built there. Although this light tank could just come over and free it. And this infantry didn't go down here and block the tank in it. So I guess Voice of Akasha isn't completely blocked in there. And yeah, point. Rip is definitely not conceding, not conviding. Collapsing, there we go, collapsing on this one base area. And Rip's going to have a nice advantage in this fight because Voice of Akasha just has 3 tanks sitting down here doing very little. Okay. Wow, I am surprised that Voice of Akasha is building a copter and a tank here. What this signals to me is that Voice of Akasha is giving up on trying to save this lone base and wants to go for a base trade instead. Because there's a lot coming in on this base. And to spend so much on the other side of the map. Can't, it doesn't bode well for the city's health. Fortunately, there's no tanks here from Rip that can reach smack here. Rip does get the city. 2 health tank just gets to block this base in, making Voice of Akasha really sad. Okay, I think Rip might build. Okay, we're gonna go for the anti-air to deal with the copters. Kills off this infantry. Still doesn't have a tank in range to hit from this front, which would like allow for a complete wipeout of this base. Although taking all the properties around it is pretty nasty. So this infantry in the woods is very valuable. It's stopping just like a 2-hit KO, kill this tank, and then hit the anti-air kind of move. Here, Voice of Akasha does go for the base skip to clear the 2-health tank. Then goes for a max force. He doesn't let the, well, unless he's gonna go for a bunch of first strikes, I guess. But it doesn't let them help out with this fight. And this infantry on the forest, I think, still survives a tank hit. You go for a bunch of first strikes here. This is what Voice of Akasha calls an alpha strike. Yeah, it still lives. It might have been a roll. But that makes Voice of Akasha really sad. Very sad Akasha. I don't know the outcome of the game, though. Okay. Voice of Akasha is just threatening the comm tower. Doesn't actually start capturing it. It would force these infantry to fight here, which I would have thought Voice of Akasha would want. Rip's going to go for the super. So it's the classic you use a normal power, I use a super move. Doesn't let this tank hit anything. You're going to kill this tank off. Last, no. That one. This tank can get a strike in if it wants. Ooh, this guy lived. Block with the infantry. There. And then we're just gonna go for 2 first strikes over here and build something. Yep. Smack. Save the comm tower. Save the world. They're tanking. You gotta cover up this anti-air, yeah. There's the medium tank. Anti-air gets built over here in case the copter wants to front shift. I don't know what Rip's planning with this guy. We're just gonna take the city, that makes sense. There must have been some sort of plot to hit something over here. Okay, so at the end of Rip's turn, up 10 units. That's pretty nice. Voice of Akasha. It is still in the middle of like a brawl, but Voice of Akasha does need to get something going here. 7 of those units are infantry, so it's not like the end of the world. Okay, we have a little breakthrough. There's unfortunately, for Voice of Akasha, no super weak unit to just stand here and block the medium tank. This is not. Yeah. Okay, so the idea is that the anti-air can't reach the copter. I mean, the medium tank is probably happy just killing this tank off. And I don't think Rip can kill enough infantry to get to the copter. The medium tank wants to, it could step off. I don't think it would though. Okay, so Voice of Akasha now goes for the comm tower. Kills off this infantry. Rip is really hesitant about just getting it some in range to attack from the other side. I think that's because he just gives this tank a target. Ooh, Rip's gonna go for a sacrifice play. So in the future for Rip, the order here, I mean, it's not gonna matter, but normally you would hit with that infantry and then the 4 health tank. I guess it probably doesn't matter. Even if you chip this guy down, the 4 health tank will still die. Knock down to 6. And the tank gets the kill. Nice. I don't think that was guaranteed with no power active, but that was pretty clean. Terror just decides to go for the infantry kill. Okay. And then attack over here. All of these infantry. Makes sense to me. This poor anti-air is super dead. This interesting join. We want to go for the double swing. It's a little bit annoying that this guy gets to come down and attack. I think it might actually give Voice of Akasha this calm tower. If Voice of Akasha uses the normal power here, there's like a join cap and then takes out the 7 health infantry. Ah! No. Ah. Well, if Voice of Akasha uses the power, does a join cap, has this guy take out the 7 health infantry, then this guy doesn't do more than 5 damage. And the calm tower is Voice of Akasha's. Assuming the copter like blocks. So definitely panic mode because Voice of Akasha has just lost its base. The sacrifice play was really clean, but I can't imagine that Voice of Akasha was too surprised because there was just so much being invested elsewhere in the map that this base was basically doomed to die. That was a weird attack. I would not recommend going for that attack. It just costs Rip like a tiny bit of money, but it also gives Rip charge when Voice of Akasha was the only one with a potential normal power. The base going down, soon the calm tower is going down. Voice of Akasha is not killing this base anytime soon from the looks of it. There's still a decent force. So you would expect Voice of Akasha at this point to go all in on the HQ. Wow, okay, Rip. Rip's kind of giving up a tiny bit on saving the base, I guess. I mean, that's a lot of tanks coming in, but to just build an infantry? I think Rip's just very concerned about the HQ getting captured, so building more units here. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why Rip was so willing to just let that base go. And even if you just put a medium tank on it, that sucks up a ton of hits. Okay. Rip still has a really nice advantage because like so many captures are happening really quick in comparison to the other front. Air dives in, kill the copter, and then the anti-air dies. It's like, eh. Voice of Akasha has a thing where it's like, if the anti-air is not killing copters, what's the anti-air going to do? But you don't usually kind of like trading an anti-air for just a copter. Okay, so Voice of Akasha goes for the max blast here. Gonna attack down into this double base range. Ooh, I mean, those are some nice one shots. Enjoying the triple comm tower. Max Supa. That's a lot of attacks. He's gonna get captured quickly here. Still very confused by Rip. Just stopped putting up any resistance there. Gets the double comm tower situation back rather than the triple. Goes for the max blast. This anti-air doesn't actually get to reach a copter, which is unfortunate, but these two. Or we'll just go for a tank. Not sure why. Rip dove so far in with those tanks. There's tanks. I mean, I guess these ones are on properties. But I don't like having the units dive so far forward when they don't need to. Probably fine though. Rip has a really nice income lead. Has had this base a little bit longer than Voice of Akasha has. Actually, okay, that evened up the income, but still had a nice turn there. Players start getting up here. There's still enough to deter the copters, but you can see that Voice of Akasha isn't like diving deep in order to get some of these hits. I don't like Rip is doing that. It just leaves more vulnerabilities. But okay. Gonna clean up these last few cities. Rip's still playing very defensively here. They go in for a bunch of attacks. I approve. Interrupt. No, we're not gonna interrupt the capture. Yeah, I mean, killing off the tanks definitely worth more. I thought the infantry was going to try and do the thing. That's okay. And the new medium tank. This guy just sacrifices himself for the greater good. Interesting. Okay. Well, I think this fight overall has gone more in Voice of Akasha's favor than I thought it would, but Rip will be able to hold the HQ for sure. Ooh. Voice of Akasha just let this capture go. Wow, okay. I mean, I guess it's slightly defended. Well, that's good news for Rip. Just kind of pop, take a bunch of cities. You have the Neo tank from Voice of Akasha. It's definitely a strong unit. And Rip just answers with their own. So this copter is it's just babysitting against this anti-air. They're just kind of staring at each other. Infantry can still interrupt here safely. Akasha. I noticed that Rip is no longer diving deep into Voice of Akasha's little area here, so the attacks are no longer so free. Or some of the pickoffs are no longer so free. He's gonna try and Neo tank spam his Voice of Akasha here at 23k income against someone with 33k. Huh. I wouldn't have expected that. Looks like Rip's just going to be willing to trade it. just the types of infantry here. We have the max force. I mean, as long as the status quo continues as is, Rip's going to be really happy. I mean, 10k income lead is nice. Still have a bunch of tanks. Medium tank's going to run away. It doesn't want to get hit by a Neo tank. It would love to get a first strike on a Neo tank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this one can come down here with a power and hit here. Once this tank gets cleared away, but then you'd get hit by double Neo tank in response, so probably not worth it. Voice of Akasha has a lot of pressure put on them right now. They look really dead because of like the income deficit. They're charging in here. Go after the anti-air. I mean, that's pretty nice to like wipe out the anti-airs, but because Voice of Akasha has been going into this Neo tank spam rather than like producing more copters, there's just a single copter here to take advantage of the lower anti-air count. That's not very many. And we're going to try and get the HQ. I do like that there's all these infantry standing in the way of the Neo tanks. We have to produce a new anti-air to deal with this copter. Take out the tank. Neo tank says hi. We're going to try and... we are going to deny that capture. Rip feeling very comfortable in this situation down here. Otherwise, that tank would definitely be coming to help. I don't know if very comfortable is the case I would be in, unless all of the infantry over here were pretty low health. I mean, I guess only a 9 health can start the capture. But that's still a little spicy. Voice of Akasha decides to just let the city go. Going for a bunch of strikes. The Neo tank first strike is going to give Rip really good charge advantage here. If only there was one more like injured vehicle to stand here. So good. It has to just be a tank. What that means is that this... Oh, this guy couldn't reach. Never mind. Ideally, this guy would get to do something. Instead, just gets to stand here, suck up this Neo tank strike. Okay. Neo tank is to kill a tank. Gonna go for tank sacrifices so this medium tank can kill this tank, I guess. But not good enough to just kill this one. Okay. There goes for smack. You have a bunch of things being used here, which is nice. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Rip really wants to occupy this tile. There must be some sort of concern over like 9 health infantry here, 7 health infantry here. Stop like an infantry helping out killing it or something? I don't know. Or maybe, I guess, really wants to be here so the infantry can be potentially the one to help interrupt the HQ capture. Okay. This is a pretty scary threat. You do go for the max force. This is just for the stats, I think, and it's tank strike. So this is interruptible very easily. Just with the units on field. Okay, we're gonna go with this route. Another double sacrifice. Into a max force. Neo tank finish off. The tank will come by. Smack the infantry. Smack the infantry. That was a very fancy way of going about that. I don't even know if that was that great. In comparison to just like breaking through this guy. But it was very fancy. And again, Voice of Akasha is kind of like heavily committed to going for this HQ capture. It's so far down in money. We have a bomber on the way. I like that call. It's probably too late. I mean, anti-air is going to start having... There's just going to start being plenty of anti-airs available for Rip. Well, not enough tanks for Voice of Akasha to really serve as a deterrent for them. And anti-air, very good at interrupting captures. Yeah, that's super GG. I'm surprised Voice of Akasha was able to get as much progress as he did on the HQ attack there. But yeah, that's just GG. Voice of Akasha has resigned. I'm surprised that Rip let this base go so willingly. And then also dived in over here. So when Rip got the quadruple attack sacrifice to take this base, that was a really good play. Taking this base so quickly kind of cemented the game. That was kind of allowed because Voice of Akasha just like started investing heavily in this corner. But that sort of worked out for Voice of Akasha because, I mean, this base did follow shortly after. Huh. That's pretty interesting. GG. The units do spell GG. It's like a 97% chance. GG. Your money's on max to win this. It's GG and then a dot. A period. That was the Voice of Akasha versus Rip game. I don't think Voice of Akasha should have played max given with what looked like the goals were. Didn't I cover some of these games before? I think I might not have updated my queue. We definitely did this game. We definitely did Rip versus Inkagark. We did the Spring in General. Did we do... Did we do this one? Yes, we did do this one. The Olaf mirror. got this one. I don't think we've done this one. Poland versus Sol-ecks. Yeah, I think Voice of Akasha would have enjoyed Eagle more. That was a stressful game to watch. We always enjoy more Rip, though. Yeah, Rip taking names. Yeah, Poland. Sol-ecks. This is going to be the Smacky Cup 2. Got Drake versus Andy, a classic matchup. Do I even have to change? Oh yeah, I had to change. We'll see how. I don't think we've really seen that much Poland Fog play. This will be interesting to see. Just kind of rushing towards the center with these infantry. I agree. Both people are doing it. Both sides are doing it. Poland went for the really fast artillery. That's okay, but if you do it, you do need to expect that, or you have to accept that you're like going to take less, or be able to deal less damage to your opponent because you don't have that early recon attacking. That's fine. This recon's going on a really weird route for Sol-ecks. So instead of building this recon and then spending multiple turns to move over here, just build it from this base. Also, the recon would like to attack over here rather than way up here, because up here gets defended by these bases really easily, and down here does not. Not until this gets broken. I mean, you can send a tank this way, but this base takes longer to come online, so you can get some free recon shots in here. Both players are going to get this contested city really early, which you love to see. If the recon had gone down this way, it'd be pretty easy for Sol-ecks to just take this city away. But as is, these are looking pretty good for Poland. They have this pipe seam broken next turn. Poland makes a slight mistake here. I mean, it might not even be a mistake because Poland's not feeling any pressure over here, but usually you like to build a tank here. It's okay to not build a tank and just expect your opponent to think you build a tank. You build a tank because you break the pipe seam next turn, and the tank is to move. But by not doing that, then this infantry gets to go to this tile and like these captures earlier. Except the mech can already go to those tiles. Yeah, I think it's just better to build the tank here. And get it out into the center, or a recon, I guess. Okay, so this recon's about to be really sad. It's chilling on a city, but it's going to get smacked. I assume by this tank and the infantry. Well, maybe the infantry won't hit it because it is at 4 health. Interesting. Okay, so the infantry went straight up. I assume it's just going to go like onto this mountain and then go for the airport or something. And built another infantry over here. Okay. A very, very weak side over here. Would have been insanely punished if the recons had gone down here instead of this kind of really wonky long route. But that's okay. Oh, that's so no. So the reason you don't go for this capture and you instead like go into this mountain to go for these ones is this is cannibalizing your own capture route. Like this infantry had nothing to do but walk over here and take this city. So you'd rather go here. The city, yeah, should go for that city. You're just gonna get more money that way. But either way, Poland's going to be really happy getting this area freed up much faster than Sol-ecks. Although no vehicles have been coming out, so not as much of an advantage. Man, a mech is just so much worse than having an infantry going for these captures. It takes 2 turns to walk over to these instead of 1. We got sort of trapped. Gets away. It's a nice missile platform. A Neo tank coming out for Sol-ecks. Our team's now broken. We also didn't have a tank. Oh no, we did have a tank come out for Sol-ecks. Okay. Captures are slightly slower. We have the airport, which is nice for Poland. Although Poland is Drake, so it's not like the best airport, of course, especially against Andy. But when you do use a Drake super, the copter is still going to do essentially the same as a normal copter and get some kills. Mr. What is an airport versus Mr. Y is an airport. Let's denying this capture. Gonna be feel fairly comfortable about it. The Neo tank. I'd expect a tank strike here. No. Oh no! I've got reverse. It's still no. You'd prefer to get the kill rather than hitting a full health. But at least it's not against Andy. This is more of a standard play than a fog play. In standard, you get a lot more benefit of just injuring units rather than getting a whole bunch of clean kills, because you don't have as much vision stuff you have to deal with. And the maps are smaller. So Poland here doesn't have to stay and fight. It can just bring back both of these injured units and heal up. Be totally chill. Guess so. And it makes this attack feel a little silly if these guys just heal up. There's no unit count change out of that. We have very long established fronts. Okay. One's now going for both of these captures. We're going to dive in. We do have double comm tower here, so that's a guaranteed kill. Neo tank spotted. Charge and go for a bunch of attacks. We'll see what this artillery does. In standard, you usually have them in like very positional places and don't let them ever get hit. In fog, the trick with artillery is you don't let them get hit twice, but you don't have to keep them like really far back. Because this isn't doing anything. Neo tank doing his job, picking off some tanks. Poland fighting the good fight. They're pretty even here. Poland does get these cities earlier, as you would expect. Breaking the pipe seam faster. I think Poland's going to get some nice kills here. Really, yeah, going to finish that off with the 7th health tank, which is really good. That artillery did sneak in outside of all of the vision, so that's really nice. Neo tank might overstay its welcome and get shelled, and then taken out with some tanks with the Drake super. It's just, you can see the little pathway in the fog. And it immediately gets spotted. Oh my gosh. I have a question. Do you think Poland thought of building a black boat in the bottom to ferry a lot of infantry to the middle? That would be quite the move. I don't think Poland thought about doing that. You place it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess you could place it here. You got max 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and take advantage of the that Drake extra movement. You could also go here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with a lander that only Drake and Sammy could do to transport vehicles into the middle. That could be pretty cute. Rest in peace, artillery. It was a nice route. Sometimes the luck just isn't on your side. Boom, instant typhoon. Usually you don't hit instant typhoon. I mean, it might not have been an instant typhoon, but when you're playing Drake, and you're actually playing the game that's not a replay, you want to make sure that you don't mess yourself up with the vision loss. You do lose 1 vision when you hit your super. You're not slowed down on the planes. That part does get you. And in this matchup, you would go for the Typhoon when it gives you a bunch of unit kills. So if we look at what Poland does here, that does just give this kill, gives this kill too. So this attack is looking kind of bad unless this tank can finish off, which it does. So there's quite a few pickoffs that the Typhoon mattered for. So that makes it a pretty good super. If and that one too. If you go for attacks that you get the kills anyway, then you just shouldn't use the super. Poland, of course, did not do that. Very nicely played here to kill off all the supporting units for the Neo tank. Makes Andy really sad to be down so many units. We're at 17 to 34. The hyper upgrade, clear up all that damage, but the units don't come back to life. Once they're gone, they're gone. We do get to scout the Neo tank to take 1 guy out. Definitely don't send this guy forward to go for the capture. Did get to take that recon out. That's pretty nice. And falling back is definitely what Andy has to do. Kind of have to rely on Poland to overextend to help make up the unit count deficit. Down goes that artillery. Was that anti-air? Very nicely done by Poland, being like, I just don't want to stick around with this nasty Neo tank. I'm just going to hit you elsewhere. Go for a bunch of captures at the same time. Just puts a ton of pressure on your opponent. They have to try and answer all of these things while being down in units. And that just leaves a lot of vulnerable attacks. Like both of these tanks are going to go down next turn. Yeah, Sol-ecks just resigns. It's so difficult to play down in units. Sol-ecks has 1 infantry on this front, 1 infantry on this front, and just a bunch of exposed vehicles and cities being captured. So there's like no way for Sol-ecks to ever take these cities back. Even if Sol-ecks gets like amazing kills here and like wins the vehicle fight, the game will just run out of time before Sol-ecks will be able to these captures. Oh, GG. Maybe I can be cute with the transports here with Sammy or Drake. Maybe if I ever play the map again. And he does have a hard time on the 2 towers. G. It is all shoals. Yeah, I'll get 1 more game in here. We got LaskaLarnar versus Daddymacsac on Lucifer. It's Sammy versus Max. I have not signed up for the High Funds tournament. I mean, I could, I guess. You here to see your game get reviewed? Live this time? Nice. Really not as hard as you thought to change live queue into live league? It's just going to be a pain to make all the pages display the yellow and stuff. You don't know what a LaskaLarnar is, but you always love the sound of it. First round is High Funds Tier 4, but with Sasha unbanned and Adder and Sammy banned. Sammy banned? Why? Why would they do this to me? You have, but you're probably going to get knocked out on round 1. You're not great in standard, so High Funds is probably worse. Well, you're going to be in a division that's hopefully with people close to your skill level. So, unless you're like really highly rated in Fog, so your overall's really high up there, in which case then you'll be in trouble. You took this game really seriously since LaskaLarnar was the highest rated player you faced. You were scared of Sammy on this map after seeing what Voice of Akasha did. That's fair. So I assume you went for some recons and made Sammy suffer. See a recon? We do see a recon! Wow, this infantry is going for this backward capture really soon. Maybe that's just like the meta? Very fast airport for Daddymacsac. Okay. We do have recon plus infantry set up to deny Sammy this capture, which is something that Sammy likes to just take for freezies. But not this time. It is going to be freezies over here, though. We did not have double recon openers. Okay, nicely done. The tank's guarding. LaskaLarnar can get this city capture by like blocking with an infantry and then going for the capture. It will cost the infantry its life, and then I don't know if LaskaLarnar can really hold the city after that. We do have the artillery built. We don't go for the fancy infantry block, go for capture move. Bunch of central cities get captured. Daddymacsac looking fine. We also get to deny the interrupts with this recon placement. Really nice. The tank. It's a Max tank versus a Sammy tank. It's happy days. It's even chained together. Currently, LaskaLarnar is looking really sad. We do have a T-copter. Now, you rarely see transport copters in standard because they come out slower than APCs, and they come out at the time when you want to be building vehicles to fight with. So LaskaLarnar is going to have to make up for a lot of tempo here. I can only assume it's being built to move mechs. I guess it's going to move this infantry. As you can see, most of the captures are already finished by the time the transport copter came out. It's a little embarrassing. Gonna do a double block to get the city capture. Daddymacsac doing a really good job. With these blocks. And now we have a mech coming into the transport copter. Usually on this map, you wouldn't go with a transport copter flying over to like mechs from this base. You would just build mechs from this base and have them walk across the mountains. It's a nice, very safe route. mostly on the front lines. The artillery usage by LaskaLarnar is really good for this map. As you can see, it's very choky with these mountains. You're probably going to be stuck in Division 1 forever. Go down fighting. That's okay. For this capture, usually Sammy has a property advantage early on, so the fact that Max actually has it bodes very poorly for LaskaLarnar here. Because while Victory March is really nice, Max can do a lot with just the normal power. And with an income lead, that means there's just going to be more vehicles for Max to do stuff with. I think, well, the fact that Daddymacsac up 2k means that stalling is probably more effective. Here we go. We're starting to see some more mechs being built. That's kind of what you need to do to Sammy. We have a gobble up play, just nom 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 nom, bunch of Sammy infantry. We'll let a mech hit a recon. Not the end of the world. Copter's running away. Never mind, the mech doesn't even get to hit the recon. This looks very bad for LaskaLarnar. Just gonna chill over here. I mean, the artillery are doing their job. Alright, Daddymacsac does respect the mech line. The harbor is probably going to get captured here. If we see a Max like battleship built, then that would be absolutely wild. This city is not defended by an artillery, so it's going to be captured soon. A breakthrough here to hit this artillery. Go for the capture. Looks like Daddymacsac just gonna let this city go. Enjoy this like collapse on this front. I mean, there's a lot of money invested over here for LaskaLarnar that's no longer in the fight. Daddymacsac is up by a lot of money. Their income. Not gonna kill. Very bad news for LaskaLarnar. Big glop of units just slowly moving around. Daddymacsac almost has normal power here. Pick off more of these LaskaLarnar units, and then here comes the max normal power. Try and kill off a ton of stuff over here, I assume. Nothing can stop this capture. That's okay. Copter. Shots copter. Taking out all the mechs. Wow. Get the artillery. Ooh, it lives at 1. These mechs. Ice is the medium tank. A bunch of units. We have 1 swing on the infantry. This copter doesn't quite know what it wants to do right now. I guess that's okay. It would have also been fine to hit this tank, because this copter is reachable. The artillery fires the tank. It's probably this tank to kill the anti-air. This anti-air can just reach this copter. that we already overloaded. LaskaLarnar just skips the turn, I guess. Daddymacsac gets to lightning strike as Max. I mean, that's hard to do anything about. Then LaskaLarnar times out. GG, we have the Max submarine. That was a pretty dominating show. The recon ended up doing a ton, denied this capture, and then secured that capture. And then we just had the vehicles just run over Sammy. Yeah, the LaskaLarnar army got split very nicely. So much got invested in defending over here, and he just hit the other side of the map. That's the power of the front switch. GG. Okay, I'm going to call the stream there. I'll be back on Monday. Here's an apple for everyone. We should have done Sammy in the matchup there. Probably some more artillery in the top right. The transport copter was a real tempo hit. Better to just have some mech with the forward base. But it's definitely tough. GG's. Apple. Thanks for watching, everyone.
It's Go7, king of the penguins. Of all the penguins, he is king. It's Go7, king of the penguins. Being king of the penguins, that's his thing.